When it comes to the Salamander Space Marine chapter, it is renowned for how kind they are to a normal, everyday Imperial citizen. This chapter actually cares about the well-being of normal human beings, a trait not seen in any other Space Marine chapter. This uncharacteristically humble outlook on the safety of humanity, coupled with their devotion to the Emperor of Mankind, makes it very difficult to imagine an alternate universe in which the Salamanders chapter is a traitor legion instead of the devoted and protective loyalist chapter it is in the current era. However, that's not going to stop us from exploring the possibility of a Salamanders chapter that betrayed the Emperor of Mankind during the Horus Heresy and devoted themselves to the worship of chaos. And that's today's topic on another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. If you're new to the channel, allow me to introduce myself. I am your host Gersh1, your guide through the grimdark universe of Warhammer 40,000. Now, if you enjoy this style of what-if scenario videos, I suggest you subscribe to the channel because for the entire month I will be creating these types of theory videos. And you can show your appreciation for this series by hitting the like button or giving us a super thanks. It's an excellent way to show your support, but with all that said, let's get into 40 facts and lore on traitor salamanders. Let's begin by taking a look at how a Chaos Salamander chapter would wage war against the Corpse Emperor and all of his brainwashed minions. Currently, the chapter is renowned for its expertise in the use of melta and flamer weapons. They have mastered the art of getting in close to the enemy and burning away swaths of troops and melting away any armored foe. A Chaos version of the Salamanders would be no different, but unlike the tactically efficient loyalists, these traitors would use fire and ash to strike fear into the hearts of their enemies. The sounds of raging flames and the screaming, burned victims would echo through every battlefield marched upon by the Chaos Salamanders. Fire would become the Traitor Legion's calling card. Entire hive cities and manufactorums would become infernos of suffering as these pyromaniacs spread their violence across the galaxy. What would be interesting to see is the Salamander's utilization of warp flames. This could be through the use of sorcery or actual warp weapons, like the ones used by the Thousand Sons. These chaos-corrupted weapons would unleash gouts of transformic fire that mutates any being caught within its path. The enemy's skin would boil and their bones would bend as the warp flames twist their bodies until they can't take it anymore. This emphasis on burning their enemies to a crisp would strike terror in the minds of Imperial military forces and ignite a reputation of destruction for a Chaos Salamander chapter. Now, aside from the use of flamers and melta weapons, Salamanders are also renowned for their ability to forge great relics and artificer items, a trait possessed not only by their Primarch, but also passed down by the culture of their homeworld of Nocturne. What I can see happening in a chaos-corrupted Salamander Legion is the forging of demons into their weapons. Under the guidance of the Chaos Gods, the masterful Tech Marines would dive into the forbidden lore of the Dark Mechanicus and gain the knowledge to trap the souls of chaos entities into their relics, much like the Hellforges found within the Immaterium today. Now let's be clear, no demon wants to be trapped in a lifeless object, and so these demonic weapons, forged by the corrupted Salamanders, would only be wielded by the most sadistic warriors of the Warband, a warrior capable of quenching the thirst for blood and slaughter that each demon weapon requires. Those that are not brutal enough to please the demon within would be betrayed by the weapon itself. Like all warp-touched items, these weapons would whisper words of corruption into the minds of each salamander, hoping to break their will and allow their bodies and souls to mutate into chaos spawn. Which brings us to the next very important topic to discuss, the mutating effects that would plague a chaos-corrupted Salamander Legion. Like all traitors, the bodies of the Salamanders would inevitably change due to the corruptive powers of the Chaos Gods, and we can get a good sense of what they would look like by taking a look at the rumored successor chapters of the Salamanders, the Black Dragons. You see, through a flaw in their gene seed, the Black Dragons develop protruding bone-like growths on their heads and forearms. This abnormality is more than likely also found within the Salamander's gene seed. Now, given the mutating effects of the warp, this strange gene seed flaw would run rampant all throughout the traitor Salamanders. Spikes would sprout from all limbs, and crowns of horns would jut out of their craniums. Their obsidian black skin would also harden, giving each traitor the appearance of a demonic statue more so than a living being. The fire-red eyes ubiquitous with the chapter would also burn brighter as the powers of the warp surged through their bodies. Now, the most shocking part would be the sheer size of these Chaos Salamanders, as they are already some of the largest Space Marines in the Imperium, but once empowered by the Chaos Gods, they would tower over every soldier created by the Emperor of Mankind. Now, Now, as a mockery to the massive reptiles found on their homeworld of Nocturne, I would not be surprised if a few of these traitor marines develop reptilian features, such as tails, scaly skin, and serpent-like tongues. Others would succumb fully to their bestial mutations and become dragon-like entities. As far as their culture, the Chaos Salamanders would modify their beliefs, but still hold on to some twisted form of the Promethean cult. That means isolationism would still be practiced, believing that only through malevolent actions performed alone could a corrupted space marine truly get closer to a chaos god. Their rituals would continue to be centered around flames, but would take on a more sadistic element, sacrificing their victims on a massive pyre or outright burning everything they can get their hands on. And instead of showing humility towards humanity, the Chaos Salamanders would enslave every human soul captured. Retinues of human slaves would follow each corrupted salamander, praising them as their loyalist counterparts praises the Emperor. Each slave would be branded with a mark of their master, a contrast to the ritual scarring that current-day salamanders undergo. These slaves would come from their homeworld of Nocturne, a volcanic world turned into a literal hell, where demonic entities swim in the lava pools and burning effigies of the Chaos Gods are venerated. Now, which Chaos God would be the patron god of the Traitor Salamanders chapter is not very difficult to assume. The chapter's affinity towards flames, coupled with its homeworld's lava aesthetic, makes you think of the realm of the blood god Khorne, whose domain is filled with literal fire pits and rivers of lava and blood. Now, the Salamander's affinity towards metalworks also calls the imagery of Khorne, the god of brass and steel. We could make the argument that a Chaos Salamanders chapter might be the first Traitor Legion to be devoted to the Forge of Souls, the most powerful Hellforge in the Warp, but even in temperament I feel like the God of Rage would be a better match, as Khorne's bloodlust is a sharp contrast to the patience and caring demeanor of a loyalist Salamanders chapter. And what that means is that the ubiquitous green of the Salamanders would have to change to some shade of red and black, perhaps a tone similar to the giant red salamanders of their homeworld of Nocturne, or some form of brass. Now, as awesome as it would be to theorize about a chaos-corrupted Vulcan, the prime mark of the Salamanders chapter, that will be saved for a different video. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that, and I hope you enjoyed watching this quick theory video, but now I pass it over to you. What do you think a Chaos Salamanders Legion would look like? Please let me know down in the comment section below, and again, if you enjoyed this style of content, drop us a super like, share with your friends, or simply burn the like button by clicking on it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to talk to you guys in the comment section. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Oh, I